Welcome to this explainer, where we're going to uncover how a scrappy group of independent filmmakers fleeing lawsuits inadvertently built a multi-billion-dollar empire. You know, we usually think of Hollywood as this preordained capital of glitz and glamour, but its roots? Entirely rebellious. Today, we're tracing that wild journey from a dusty apricot grove to the global epicenter of dreams. Now, I really want to start by challenging what you might think you know about the movie industry's origins. Did you know Hollywood's glamour was actually born from a desperate attempt to evade patent lawsuits? It's true. The massive industrial machine we see today literally started as a high-stakes game of hide-and-seek, driven by outlaws trying to stay just one step ahead of the law.
It's fascinating when you look at the stark contrast between film's original home in New Jersey under Thomas Edison and the sunny alternative out in California. Back in the early 1900s, Edison was essentially the dictator of light. He held the patents on almost everything you needed to make a movie: the cameras, the projectors, even the film stock itself. His trust used hired goons and iron-fisted litigation to crush anyone filming without a license. Los Angeles, on the other hand, was the exact opposite. It was totally unregulated, offering incredibly cheap land, and a climate that was way more forgiving than those brutal East Coast winters.
Okay, so let's dive into this great escape to Los Angeles.
When director D.W. Griffith stumbled upon Hollywood in 1910, it was just a quiet, teetotaling suburb full of citrus trees. But it had exactly the magic ingredients these outlaw filmmakers needed to survive. First off, it was super close to Mexico, meaning they could literally make a run for the border if Edison's lawyers showed up. Second, before powerful electric lamps were a thing, you needed the sun to make movies, and Southern California delivered over 300 days of predictable golden light. Third, the geography was just unbeatable. Within a 30-mile radius, directors had access to the Pacific Ocean, the Mojave Desert, and the Sierra Madres. And finally, it was a non-union town offering incredibly cheap labor. Director Cecil B. DeMille really hit the nail on the head regarding this sheer economic opportunism. He famously said, "We came for the sun, but we stayed because we could build a kingdom for the price of a shack." They weren't drawn there by some grand artistic destiny. They went because the economics and the environment let them operate freely and, most importantly, cheaply. Moving right along to the birth of the studio system, where a rogue hobby transformed into a massive industry.
The major studio founders were actually highly driven immigrants who completely transformed entertainment by creating the first massive feature-length film factories. You had Adolf Zukor founding Paramount and pioneering block booking, which forced theaters to buy all their films in a bundle. Carl Laemmle founded Universal and literally built Universal City, an entire municipality dedicated just to making movies. And then there were the Wanskalazer brothers, 4 immigrants from Poland who founded Warner Bros. And eventually brought synchronized sound to cinema. They basically took a chaotic art form and industrialized the whole shebang.
But hey, an empire absolutely needs royalty, right? That brings us to inventing the movie star.
It sounds completely crazy to us today, but initially, studio bosses actively hid their actors' identities. They wanted to keep them nameless to keep labor costs rock bottom. They figured, rightly so, that if the public fell in love with a specific name, that actor would suddenly gain leverage and start demanding more money. They just wanted nameless, interchangeable workers.
So how did that change? Well, the very first movie star was literally invented through a wild, fabricated publicity stunt. The studios had an actress named Florence Lawrence. They kept her nameless, just calling her the Biograph Girl. But the public loved her and demanded to know who she was. In a stroke of incredibly manipulative PR genius, the studio leaked a totally fake story about her tragic death. Once everyone was in an absolute uproar, the studio spectacularly proved she was actually alive. The hype was unprecedented.
And wow, did that stunt open the floodgates. Stage actors transformed into global icons whose mere names could sell out theaters worldwide. We're talking about the very first global deities. People like Mary Pickford, who became universally known as America's sweetheart, along with massive names like Charlie Chaplin and Douglas Fairbanks. The shift from nameless labor to the modern celebrity was officially complete, and studios realized these stars were actually their most valuable assets. Which leads us into our final phase, the sign and the sound.
It is honestly mind-blowing to see how rapidly the silent era became a booming global enterprise. In just 17 years, we go from D.W. Griffiths finding a quiet little suburb in 1910 to the iconic Hollywoodland sign going up in 1923, and finally to 1927, when the jazz singer introduces synchronized speech and completely ends the silent era. And I absolutely love this detail about the sign. What we revere today as the ultimate symbol of global glamour, it was originally just a cheap real estate pitch. That 1923 Hollywoodland sign wasn't a monument to cinema. It was literally just a for sale advertisement for a local housing development on Mount Lee. It is the absolute perfect metaphor for the opportunistic, business-first foundation of the whole industry.
So, with the arrival of synchronized sound in 1927, the Outlaws had officially won. They replaced Apricot Groves with a billion-dollar factory. But this factory didn't manufacture steel or cars. Its ultimate product was mythology. This newly established empire manufactured dreams, dictating global fashion, language, and desires for the entire planet. The sepia-toned dust of the 1910s had completely given way to the neon glow of modern entertainment.
So, as you think about the entertainment landscape we have today, I want to leave you with a question to chew on. Which era of Hollywood's evolution interests you the most? Is it those silent, scrappy, outlaw days of the 1910s, with filmmakers literally running from process servers? Or is it the glamorous, star-studded golden age of the 1930s that followed? It's pretty fascinating to realize that the polished, global mythology we consume today started as nothing more than a desperate escape attempt. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and keep exploring the history behind the screen.